I've been a race car driver my whole life. Even before I started racing, it was always with my dad, and now that I'm doing it, and I can't imagine ever not wanting to do it. It's not just what I do, it's who I am.
Gee, we'll get us back going here.
Yeah, she was going well. I started racing in 1993 when I was 14 years old in a Datsun 1200, and 45 years old now and still racing.
I started off building a Datsun 1200 coupe for Brendan to race juniors, and then our next race car was a HQ Holden for the bitumen, which he raced at Bathurst and Indy and Lakeside and Queensland Raceway, all over the countryside. And then eventually he found Speedway, which is what I'd been doing for my motorsport life.
I was always around car racing and cars and that sort of thing, and always wanted to race cars. It's all I ever wanted to do. When I started racing, my dad was pretty much just finished racing then. He'd been racing all the way through the 80s, and yeah, pretty much had finished by the time I was starting. So then he just concentrated on my racing then, and that was just the progression of Kennedy Motorsport basically.
When I was pregnant with Brendan, we had a rotary mass. He used to go around Charlton really loud, and every time I went past, he'd jump inside me. So he's had the revs in him since before birth, basically. He could hardly avoid going into car racing, really.
Oh yeah, Dad's still involved quite heavily. The car behind me here, we built that together basically. Me and him did 90% of it. Just us in the shed. The highlight of racing is, well, it's all of it. It's about for us, and it's different for other races. But for us, it's about racing the car that you built yourself, and hopefully winning in that car as well. Knowing that you've built a successful race car and taken it all the way to victory from the conception stage. So that's where the thrill is for us. We build all our cars here in Toowoomba, just between my shed here and my dad's shed. He lives just down the road. When you're sitting on the dummy grid waiting to go onto the track is probably the most nervous period that I have when I'm racing. The more that you think about these things, the more it doesn't work out on the track, because nothing ever goes the way you think it's going to go. So trust in yourself that when you get out on the track, you'll know what to do. You don't have to pre-think it, and you just let it evolve and unfold, and just let your instincts do the job. The nerves when you're coming up to a race, particularly on race day, all the way through, they just build and build through the day, and it becomes quite stressful and uncomfortable, and it's almost, you find yourself almost questioning, like, why am I doing this? It's so stressful, and everything could go horribly wrong too, and you have all of these thoughts, and then but you realize that's what makes you stronger, and that's almost why you do it, because you're challenging yourself, and if you don't challenge yourself, you don't grow. But if you challenge yourself and then you succeed in that challenge, you feel like a king. when you get it, and when you're there with your crew and your family, it all just makes sense.